Hey everybody, welcome back to my layout. So it's August 2016 and time for another layout update. This will be a pretty quick layout update. I don't have any new rolling stock or engines or anything to show you, so just a quick update of what I've been working on down here on the layout. So I just had that engine sitting there mocking up the layout height on that side of the layout. This is going to be the final, not changing it anymore. So final layout height is going to be 54 inches. So I'm sticking to it, 54 inches on the CN side and 48 on the CP side. That's height from the floor to the very top of the rail. So the benchwork hasn't changed much on the CN side since the last update. I did a little bit at this far end, but I kind of got stuck at a point here. So you see where that chair is. That's going to be where my work desk, airbrush booth, and a sink is going to be along that wall underneath the layout. So it kind of gets to I come across a unique problem here where the track height of 54 inches will let me have the workbench below, like just barely. I've only got a couple inches clearance of headroom, but it should be okay working underneath that. The only thing is I cannot use my 1x2s. Like I need to have the smallest possible clearance from the joist. So my friend actually owns a custom 4x4 building shop, and he's gonna machine me 5 or 6 brackets, whatever I need there, out of 1/2-inch square tubing. So it'll be basically the roadbed, the track, the cork, the roadbed directly on top of a 1/2-inch piece of square tubing, and then nothing else below it, and they'll cantilever right out from the wall, so there'll be lots of room. And that's what I'm going to do for my work desk, and then I'm going to attach lighting and stuff to the bottom of it. So I'll show you more on that once he gets those built for me. I think it's going to work really well. I did a lot of testing with having my chair there in the height for clearance and stuff, so it should be good. And then the advantage of having the work desk under there is if you have an op session or something and you want to hide because I don't know what other people's work desks look like, but mine's just a ridiculous mess all the time. So my idea is that because the work desk is underneath the layout, I'll have curtains that I can just reattach the fascia, have it slide in or something. Slide the fascia in with the curtain, slide the curtain across, and then it's like it's not even there. So then the only disadvantage will be where the work desk is, the terrain is pretty much flat because there's no way you can drop it down because the joists are going to be so high. So that's kind of a trade-off, but I think it's worth it. And I tried planning the layout so that this section, kind of where the chair is, ends up being a straight kind of flat boring section anyway. So we'll see. More on that once I get those brackets back. So this is where I spent most of my time this past month. Still not quite done yet. This gave me a lot of grief. So this stairway landing, it became a constraint because for this area on the CP side, I wanted to have a peninsula, and the way that this staircase was just would not allow me to do that. It came out too far. I only had about 10'5" of clearance from the tip of the stairway there over to the wall on this side. So the brand new finished drywall had to go. My wife thought I was nuts when I was headed down here with a crowbar, but I did it, got it done. So you can see here, those 2 arrows right there at the very bottom, right there. That's where the staircase used to come out, the landing. So I basically took that out and just pushed the one corner back. I reframed it and got a guy come and drywalled it, so now I'm just waiting for a finished carpenter to come hang the door and it'll be done. It was kind of ugly, but I had to do it. Just there's no way I could fit a peninsula in this area without doing that. There was like 1 foot of clearance in the one aisle, so it had to go. So this illustrates what I did with that staircase landing. You can see it quite a bit better here. That's where it used to come out to, right there at those points. So I basically gained like almost 3 feet by just rotating that one corner of it back. and that there you can see it allows me to have that Banff yard that I didn't want to give up. And while we're looking at this, I did make a few changes. I've kind of been as I go making slight variations, especially on the CP side. So now I've moved everything is all Lake Louise along this wall now. Added a little section of a Bow River here that I found on Google Earth. That should be pretty cool. The single track main line runs right along the Bow River, right before Lake Louise. So it's all prototypical locations, and the direction and everything's all correct. So Lake Louise along the bottom, that hasn't changed, but I added I found something that worked west of Lake Louise. So once you get a little bit further west, Bath Creek is right before Divide. There's two bridges. It won't be 100% accurate. The curves are opposite, but it was kind of all I could do to try to figure out what to put in that scene. There's not much room. It's only a 10-foot wall, so that comes around, and then it rejoins to be just like a close double track. And then I'm going to add up on this side the crossovers at Divide. So this is again right under the Trans-Canada Highway, or just before. There's actually a Trans-Canada Highway overpass is right there. And I did that because I started thinking about it, and it's better off to have double track going into the staging. It's just one less reverse loop or auto reversing section that you need. So rather than having the single track feed into this storage balloon, basically, you have double. So then you can it'll just come around on one track, go around the balloon, and come back on the outside track. So that'll reduce the need to have an auto reverser in that section. So I'll still have to have one down at Lake Louise because it goes to single track. This is all double track up to here, and then it goes single track all the way around to Banff, and then feeds double track into this reverse loop. So if you want to have auto kind of operation and the trains be able to just run themselves without you having to switch the switches all the time, I'll still have to do an auto reverser here at this switch and here at this switch. But that's kind of like something in the future. I'll cross that bridge when I get to it. The CN side avoids that because the whole thing's double track, so you can just leave it and a train can just go, rotate around the CN side constantly because of the double track. So there's all these little things that pop up after you start pondering stuff for a while, and then you realize you need to make a few changes. So it's definitely one of the added benefits to using the track planning software, because you can really get the plan hammered out and work out the kinks before you actually build stuff. So once I had finished that, I made another wood run and kept going on the CP side of the benchwork here. So see, it's kind of an interesting piece there. The first drop right there is an underpass, so Lake Louise Drive in Lake Louise, Alberta, and then it rises up a little bit more. That is a creek there, and then the terrain continues to rise up until it gets to basically, which will be flat terrain here, and it goes for about 40 feet, and that will be the Lake Louise station and everything. So a little bit more progress on that side of it. I'm pretty much ready now to start building the walls that need to be built. So there will be a dividing wall kind of roughly here. So I'm going to start building that. It'll come out this way. And that will be what divides the peninsula, the two scenes on either side of the peninsula. So over by the furnace and hot water tank, I did get a little bit more bench work done with some bigger joists, basically just scaled up versions of my of the normal benchwork joists that I've been building. But these will be for the reverse loops. So this is the main two reverse loops. There's 5 tracks on each one, stacked on top of each other, separated by 6 inches. So you can see there's the lower one starting to take shape where that's going to go. That's the CP side, and up top is the CN side, and that's where it's going to go directly over top. So I utilized those shelving. I found these at Rona actually. These were the best shelving brackets I could find. They're definitely a more expensive option, but they're quick, and there's quite a bit of clearance. Like, there's not much to these. They're about a 1/2 inch of depth and a 1/2 inch off the wall. So I just had to modify my joist structure below. You can see I kind of had to bring those out a bit, but I think it's going to work out quite well with these. They're really easy to put up too, so that's definitely a bonus is how fast you can do those. So we're looking, this would be basically the entrance to the CN reverse loops there, that wide. This one is kind of the entrance. It squeezes behind the furnace there. That's the beginning of the CN layout. So then I used those shelf brackets, 8-inch ones and then smaller 6-inch ones. Oh, sorry, the black ones are 12-inch and the white ones are 8-inch. So that's what I use to, which will run the sub-roadbed behind the furnace there. And make the, so it's double track and it tucks around, goes behind the furnace, and then it'll pop out over on the CN side of the layout over there. So that pretty much wraps up this layout update, guys. Like I said, just slowly working on the benchwork and trying to chip away at it, do a little bit every day if I can. I got lots of supplies now, so like all kinds of 1x2, and I'm going to build the walls out of 2x2s. So I have lots of supplies to keep me going for quite a while. The plan is to hopefully get more of the benchwork done in this main section, and then start working on sub-roadbed and risers. There you can see my son's current layout right now. Greg from Fish Fate Films. You'll be happy to know I'm not going to do the sub-roadbed out of MDF. I started doing some more reading on it after we chatted, and I just didn't like the idea of having to paint it because of the potential fumes and stuff that come off of it. Plus I was reading guys that have used 1/2-inch in the past, and they've had some issues of sagging between the risers. And on my layout, there's quite a few sections where I've got gaps bigger than 2 feet. Like for example, where that overpass is, there's like a 2.5 foot, 3 foot gap. So rather than having to reinforce all this 1/2-inch MDF, I'm just going to go ahead and get 5/8 plywood, some kind of like a higher quality plywood, and I'm going to do the sub-roadbed out of that. I figure if I get something better than just spruce, like something that's a more dense of wood, should be kind of more closer to MDF in the sound deadening properties. So that's what I will be up to definitely over the next month. Hopefully I can get those walls up and get going on this peninsula, and it'll start looking more like a railroad down here. So that'll wrap up this layout update for August 2016. Thanks a lot for watching. We'll see you next time.